Yo, what's your boy Ghost here, and today I'm bringing you guys another comparison video between the Type-100 and Welgun. And I want to make this comparison because I wanted to keep exploring the topic of the SMG meta, because I feel like the own gun, although for many it seems like the #1 SMG, I just feel like it doesn't get as much respect as previous SMG like metas in the past have. Like I don't know, like as the #1 SMG, I feel like the own gun doesn't get the respect that others did in the past. And guns like the Welgun and Type-100 have more of a chance of being like the face of the SMG category, when a gun like the own gun just isn't getting respected as, or at least from my opinion. Like, I just feel like a lot more people are like still using the Welgun, as people could even be potentially exploring outside own gun and Welgun, like such as the Type-100, making the own gun a gun that, like, although it's really good, it's just not a clear-cut #1 for some people. But before we dig into this comparison, I want to quickly announce a few things. For starters, bro, the big announcement that I was talking about in my last video. Turns out, man, on the day of this video going up, I'm going to be receiving my PC. So this is probably the last video you guys will see of me on console, just for the entirety of the future, I guess, because I'm moving to PC finally after 2 years of Warzone. Actually, just my whole life, I guess. I was always on console. I'm finally moving over to PC. So next video, bro, I'm telling you, be on the lookout, because that next video is for sure gonna be a PC video. And also, man, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. One road to 2,000. And yeah, man, let's just get into the comparison. And then we have the recoil pattern for the Type-100. And something very interesting about this gun is towards the end of this recoil pattern, it seems like it's like kind of capped. As you guys can see in this recoil pattern, like, it kind of just stops right there. Doesn't go any farther than that. Whereas like other guns obviously keep going up, and just keep going basically. And this Type-100 is some kind of like a unique case. Obviously, if you were to have a different magazine for it, it'd probably change the recoil pattern, but at that point, it wouldn't be a base Type-100. But anyways, man, the Type-100, the reason I'm even included in this conversation is because this has always been an interesting case for me in terms of Vanguard SMGs. Like, this gun has, to me, been like one of the more underrated SMGs in Vanguard category, and I just feel like it's never ever gotten the spotlight in like the 3 months that the integration's been out. And I don't know, for whatever reason, I just don't understand it, because I feel like this gun is really solid. Like, it can make a case for damn near being like a top 3 SMG if you like, if you don't think the MP40 is up to code, which, again, that's debatable. People still think that the MP40 is pretty solid, and with reason. Actually, kind of crazy. I haven't even used the MP40 in a minute. I might have to explore that soon. But Type-100 could also make a case for being that new #3, or being in the top 3 discussion, with MP40 getting nerfed in Season 2 update, obviously. But right now I feel like people are more leaning towards like a Welgun and own gun, which is two obviously great choices. But again, like I mentioned in the beginning, I feel like the own gun, although it being one of the more like primary choices for SMGs, I just feel like the respect isn't like there. Like, people just don't view it as a just straight up dominant weapon, because if that was the case, everybody would be using like how they were doing the MP40. Like, the Welgun was out right when the MP40 was a thing, and it wasn't getting used like this. The own gun was out when the MP40 was a thing, and no one was using that own gun. Like, the MP40 was the true dominant SMG, whereas now it got nerfed. People are starting to branch out, and it just doesn't feel like there's a true dominant SMG where the Welgun is good, but it's not everyone's using it. The own gun is good, but not everyone's using it. And so it kind of just allows for guns like a Type-100, like a Sten, even like what's the other gun, X44, just more variety, and trying to figure out what like the true best secondary is. And like I mentioned, that's why we're here, because I think Type-100 is a really solid, underrated SMG that doesn't get the respect that it deserves. And in a situation where, or what we have now in Warzone, I think it's the perfect opportunity for a gun such as the Type-100 to be able to claim some sort of spot in the meta. But anyways, man, with that being said, let's just get into the stats in Welgun so you guys can understand where I'm coming from. And there we have the recoil pattern for the Welgun, and man, I actually ended up getting shot at in this whole process when I was trying to check out the recoil pattern for some just POS, man, POS. But anyways, man, this Welgun, obviously we already know what the deal with this gun is. A lot of you guys that are gonna watch this video probably use this gun as your main SMG, which is totally fine because this gun is really, really good. But again, it's really good, and yet I feel like it's, again, in the same category as the Owen gun, where it's not respected as the true dominant SMG of Season 2. Now, a lot of you guys may disagree with me on that, but, bro, again, if this gun was the most dominant SMG in the game at the moment, everybody would be using it. Like, there would be no mistake about it. There would be no argument. It would just be the clear-cut #1, just like how the MP40 was. But that's not the case. Some people, like, you may see a lot of Welguns, but then you'll see some sprinkle-ins of some Owen guns, and then you can make a whole case for the Owen gun. You can make a whole case for even maybe the MP40 still. Like, it's just, the Welgun is like the Owen gun, not the true #1 SMG. They have a potential to be it, and they have a big case for it, but they're not clear cut, in my opinion. That's just how I see it from what I've been watching. You may disagree with me on that, it's completely fine, but that's just how I personally see it. But anyways, man, moving on over to the first set of stats we're gonna talk about, which is the fire rate. And then for the Welgun, we have a 658 RPM, and then for the Type-100, a 750 RPM. So Type-100 here, obvious advantage in fire rate, and actually it also has a big advantage in fire rate over the Owen gun, and that's not including fire rate attachments. I am aware that fire rate attachments, play a significant part in this type of conversation, but I still think like the Type-100 would have a comfortable lead on any of these SMGs, no matter what the attachment setups are, because the Type-100, I believe for my class setup, if I remember correctly, I do have a fire rate attachment on it as well. But the Welgun, obviously, in this situation, has more of an opportunity to compete in the fire rate department. And if you guys have been paying attention at all in any of these comparison videos, the fire rate seems to be the thing that really matters the most. Like, damage is obviously really important, but the fire rate is what just gives a case for any weapon, no matter what the damage is. Like, damage, again, important, but the fire rate, I think, the trend that is continued, especially with these Vanguard weapons, is just, that's what truthfully matters the most. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys have already noticed that, and a lot of you guys start leaning, maybe even lean towards guns with really high fire rate, but high fire rate, man, truly is the difference maker in a lot of these situations. But anyways, man, moving over to damage. For the Welgun, for 0 to 15 meters, we have 53 damage to the head, 42 to the neck, 36 to the chest, 33 to the stomach and extremities. For the Type-100, for 0 to 14 meters, we have 44 damage to the head, 39 to the neck, 30 to the chest and stomach, 28 to the extremities. So obviously the Welgun does have a slight advantage in damage, and the Owen gun even more. But the fireman, again, like I mentioned, is what's truthfully gonna help this Type-100 make its case, because damage is obviously the weakest out of the three guns that I'm primarily talking about in this video. But it's not too far behind the Welgun, and as the ranges go farther, the damages start kind of getting a little bit closer, a little bit. Actually, now looking at it, I think that might not be. No, that's definitely not true. I'm sorry, that's not true. For 15 to 20 meters for the Welgun, about 46 damage to the head, 37 to the neck, 31 to the chest, 29 to the stomach and extremities. And then for the Type-100, 14 to 18 meters, we got 35 damage to the head, 31 to the neck, 24 to the chest and stomach, 22 to the extremities. So the damage difference becomes a little bit larger in this situation. I'm not gonna lie, I'm sorry for misinforming you guys there. I thought the Type-100 would get a little bit closer in damage, because typically, like, even if a gun is more out damaged than another, like, it's just eventually at some point they start coming together when they start, becoming farther apart from each other in distance. But in this case, it doesn't really seem like that. For 20 meters and above for the Welgun, we got 37 damage to the head, 30 to the neck, 25 to the chest, 23 to the stomach and extremities. And then for the Type-100, for 18 meters and above, we got 28 damage to the head, 25 to the neck, 19 to the chest and stomach, and then 18 to the extremities. So obviously, the Type-100 takes a significant damage just decrease over the course of range. But these stats kind of remind me of like a MAC-10, because the MAC-10 at a certain range also feels like has similar numbers to the Type-100, and that gun was always like a really reliable gun that was always talked about throughout the whole course of the Cold War year, and it was just because of its fire rate. And the Type-100 doesn't have nearly a fast fire rate as the MAC-10, but a lot of these Vanguard just guns in general don't really have like a crazy base fire rate. Like, once the fire rate attachments start coming in, that's when it starts getting a little weird. But for the most part, there's not really a lot of guns that I could think of, aside from like maybe the AS44 or the PVSH, where their base fire rates are insane. Because the MP40 is 600, the Welgun 658, own guns like 500. I think the Sten is about the same as these guns, maybe slightly faster than some of these, slightly slower than the Type-100. But overall, these guns don't have crazy fire rates as the others. But regardless, man. In conclusion, I think the Type-100 definitely can compete with any of the weapons that we're talking about right now. And if you have not tried it already, please do so. Do yourself a favor. Experiment a little bit, because I'm sure a lot of people right now kind of, again, in the still just mindset of Warzone, because for whatever reason, Warzone just, man, I don't know, man, just can't stay fresh, right? You know what I'm saying? It just always finds a way to get back to the stillness. But anyways, man, thank you guys for watching, and be on the lookout for the next video. I'm out. Peace.